To hit record. Okay, recording. Awesome. So, welcome everybody. I know there's quite a few of you who couldn't join live, so thanks also to those of you who are jumping on for the recording. We're just waiting a few minutes. There was a little mishap. A bunch of people are in the wrong meeting room, so we're just giving it a minute for them to join. But I'll just start with sharing a brief overview of tonight and just giving a little bit of an introduction. So, for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Molly. I am by no means an expert on sleep and stress management. That being said, I have gone through my own journey of struggling with sleep and stress and have found some practical tools and bits that have supported me along the way. So I'm excited to share that with you tonight. We will be going over quite a bit in a short amount of time, but don't be overwhelmed because when I come to trainings like this, I try and even just take away one thing, one shift or one piece of knowledge that can make a difference in my life. So bear with us. So we'll start with an overview of sleep and of stress, so sleep science and stress mechanics, before moving into lifestyle considerations, and then we'll go into kind of tools and practical strategies, including a really brief yoga, body scan and breath exercise. Will last just a couple minutes. So
oh dang it!
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Jessica. So now live, awesome. So if anyone's
people
on Facebook, welcome. We are here talking about sleep and stress management today. So before we begin, go ahead and share the screen again. Yeah, cool. Before we begin, I kind of want to just start with a self-inquiry to help us each take a moment for personal reflection to kind of see where we're at and where we could use a little bit of extra support. So self-inquiry. So if you want to take a moment, you can journal or you can just think to yourself. It's nothing we have to share. It's just to kind of check in with yourself. So taking a moment to ask yourself if you've experienced any of the following. So the first one is, have I experienced feeling very sleepy during the day? Have I experienced trouble falling asleep or staying asleep at night? Do I experience snoring or waking up with a hard time breathing? And have I experienced any uncomfortable feelings in my legs or an urge to move my legs while I'm sleeping? So if you have experienced those, our first recommendation is to consult your healthcare provider. That being said, in addition to what your healthcare provider might offer you, there's some natural tools and strategies we can use to support ourselves. So Jessica, if you want to go a couple of slides ahead, we'll move into the official self-inquiry by asking ourselves these questions. So how long does it take me to fall asleep at night? Do I wake up during the night and have trouble falling back asleep? Do I feel rested after a night of sleep? And how can I better support my body? So again, that's just kind of for you to reflect and get an idea for where you're at today. See maybe if there's some areas you want to target. So we're going to move right into stress. So stress is our body's natural response to a situation or event which can impact our thoughts, feelings, and physical health. The Mental Health Foundation UK states stress can be defined as the degree to which you feel overwhelmed or unable to cope as a result of pressures that are unmanageable. So it's important to highlight and recognize that stress impacts each of us differently. So we each have a different stress response, and that's impacted by our social and economic considerations or circumstances, the environment we live in, and our genetic makeup. So when we experience stress, our body releases hormones, and it's triggering the fight or flight response. So the next slide, what is fight or flight? Fight or flight is our response to an acute threat. So it's a physiological reaction that prepares the body to react to danger. So it's really important to know that the fight and flight response is actually normal, it's healthy, and it's a survival mechanism. So sometimes it's needed that we have the extra burst of energy to get out of a situation or to fight, you know, in whatever way is needed. So it's a survival mechanism. The issue is when people get stuck here. So when there's an overactivation of the fight or flight response, which brings us into this sympathetic nervous system. So we don't have too much time to go into the nervous system and the parasympathetic versus the sympathetic, but I just want to mention real quickly that the sympathetic nervous system is activated in flight or fight response. So that is active. And the other is the parasympathetic. That's rest and digest. And there's generally a healthy fluid fluctuation between the two. The issue is when we get stuck in one side or the other. And so it's important to note that each of our nervous systems are different. And some of us are more on, some of us are more off. So that means that even everything we're covering tonight, it's different for everyone. So there's no black and white answer here. We're not going to tell you do this and you won't feel stressed, but we'll give ideas and you can kind of pull from it to find what fits in with you and your lifestyle. So what happens when fight or flight response is activated? Why is that not healthy to be stuck in long term? And that is because of the impact of the release of the stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. So the impact of cortisol over time is, and I include this whole list here for you to see kind of whole all-encompassing impact. So low libido, changes in menstrual cycle, fatigue, irritability, digestive upset and struggle, weight gain, changes in blood sugar and pressure, difficulty recovering from exercise, poor sleep, and poor concentration. So that's huge. So we might be asking, what's the difference between stress and anxiety? So stress is a response to a threat or to a certain situation that maybe is overwhelming, while anxiety is the reaction to that stress. So that's more for me, because I do experience both. Anxiety is more what you would think of in terms of panic or a heightened sense of chronic stress. Okay, so common effects of stress, which I've pulled from the Mayo Clinic on the next slide. So this again is a huge list. It's not that we need to digest every single detail on this page, but it's to give you again an overview of how stress impacts all the systems in our body rather than just one aspect of our life. So body, frequent effects include headaches, muscle tension or pain, chest pain, fatigue, change in sex drive, stomach upset, or sleep problems, while the mood is things like anxiety, restlessness, lack of motivation or focus, feeling overwhelmed, irritable, angry, sad, or depressed. And of course, if it can impact our mood, it's then going to be directly impacting our behaviors, which has a big impact on our overall life. So that can be anything from overeating or undereating to anger outbursts, drug and alcohol abuse, including tobacco, social withdrawal, exercising less often. So let's see. I think we'll pass it over to Jessica. Oh, I'll just share one last thing. Let's see. Just want to check my notes. I want to cover a lot, so I'm trying to stay on focus. So yeah, we're doing good. So sleep hygiene, research and studies show how critical sleep is for our bodies and also demonstrate the impact the lack of sleep can have on our bodies. And the negative impact it can have on both the body and the brain. So to help us kind of better understand that, Jessica's going to go into the science of sleep.
Okay, perfect. Can you guys hear me okay? Not quite?
You're a little bit quiet from my end.
Okay. Can you hear me better now? I'll just talk louder.
Yeah, talk
okay,
loud.
Perfect. I know my mom and a friend are potentially going to be joining the waiting room here in a minute. So just
Okay.
a heads up in case I need to like get out of this slide here. But I wanted to talk about really quick the full like cycle of sleep to understand like how it's broken up and just have general knowledge that you're not just like asleep the same. There's a difference obviously between good sleep and sleeping. So really quick, just stage 1, falling asleep. Stage 2 is when your heart rate slows and your body temperature drops. Stage 3 and 4 is when you're in your more deep sleep, muscle and tissue repair happens within your body. And then 4 is that REM sleep. You guys might remember that from like way back when in school, but the rapid eye movement sleep. And this is when you dream. So I'm actually gonna minimize this so I can see the rest of the slide here. So I've listed out the averages of how much sleep you should be getting by age there, just to also recognize that this changes throughout your life. Yeah, and I think that that's really interesting because this is a huge chunk of your life. You know, you end up sleeping about a quarter to a third of your entire life, which is a lot. But what exactly happens when you sleep? Sleep is more than just a time for your body and mind to rest. In fact, while you're sleeping, your body is still really hard at work. And during sleep, your body is healing itself and restoring chemical balances that you really need to function. And so I found this image on healthline.com, and it kind of lists out a pretty good variety here of things that happen whenever you don't get enough sleep. And this is related to, or if you like wake up in the middle of the night and you're not getting like that deep sleep whenever you need to, your body is restoring chemicals and stuff like that. And I thought that was really interesting to look at it on a picture like this to really understand that you do impact your entire body. Your brain creates new connections and helps memory retention. So memory for me is a really important one, and it is part of your memory to have new connections and for your body to heal, basically. So another thing that I read that was really interesting that I added here in my notes was that there's a hormone production responsible when you sleep. And one of those hormones, for example, would be testosterone. Testosterone production specifically is created during the 3 hours of really deep, uninterrupted sleep. So waking up throughout the night could affect productions of testosterone, which testosterone impacts multiple things throughout your body and would impact some of the things listed here. So I thought it was interesting from a scientific level to think like, well, how does it impact your, let's say, immune system or memory issues? We're talking about like a chemical reaction that's happening in your body that it relies on, which is really interesting. Sleep is also essential into regulating emotions. In fact, being sleep deprived for just one night can increase your emotional response to negative feelings by up to 60%. So, you know, you feel really tired and irritable. That's directly impacted and increases by 60%. I thought that was a really high percent. But
I think that's something. Oops. I think that's something we can all say we've experienced. And when we get a bad night of sleep, or when we're traveling and don't get enough sleep, we're a little bit crabby and moody the next day. I know I am. My mom can attest to that. I was listening to a talk yesterday on my mood, and I heard someone say that if we were to get as little as 60 extra minutes of sleep a night, we would increase our happiness significantly. So it really shows the importance of sleep, not only on our bodies, but also on our mind and our moods. So thank you for that, Jessica.
I think this is what my mom and Aaron in.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. So I just wanted to share this quote really briefly before we move into lifestyle considerations. because it helps to kind of understand why Jessica and I are so passionate about having a holistic approach. Jessica, who's a nurse practitioner with a focus on pain and neurology and holistic education, says, "What begins in the brain does not stay in the brain. We are not compartmentalized beings. Nothing in our body happens in a vacuum. So our minds and our bodies are a whole. Distress in one leads to distress in the other. Moods and emotions that are suppressed in the body will always be moods and emotions that are expressed in the mind will always be expressed in the body. So there's an overwhelming scientific evidence supporting the idea that emotion and mood directly impact our physical well-being." So that just kind of gives us introduction to the concept that Jessica and I want to express, and that's really that we want to stick with the holistic approach. So we're not just here to provide band-aids or tools we can use. We're here to also discuss lifestyle considerations and things we can do to support our life, to support our sleep before we put our head on the pillow. So my sleep and stress management honestly starts first thing in the morning, and that's with setting achievable daily rituals. So for me, that looks like meditation in the morning. So I set my goals really small so that they stick. So goals tend to stick when they're simple. So if I tell myself, okay, 15 minutes of meditation a day, I'm more likely to get on my mat and do that meditation than if I say an hour. Yeah, even if I do 15, when I'm there, it's probably going to grow and expand. So setting achievable daily rituals. So for me, it's meditation. For you, it might be taking a walk after work every day. It might be, having 10 minutes of quiet time in the morning. So any kind of calming practice or experience technique that brings your energy inward. So whether it's meditation, going for a quiet walk, painting, journaling, drawing, reading your favorite book, mindfulness activities. So for me, that has a really massive impact when I commit to that practice and to that quiet space. For me, that quiet chunk in the mornings, I feel that impact the rest of my day. Impacts my sleep and my stress, obviously, also my productivity levels, my mental clarity. I find that I'm less indecisive because I have that mental clarity. I'm able to focus more. I have more stability in my moods, and my relationships are improved when I have that quiet time to slow down the mind and really go inward. So having relaxing time and finding whatever fits into your lifestyle. So not that you have to go with meditation, which works for me, but finding what works for you. Other daily rituals that I think are really important is another big one for me is spending time in nature. So there's, again, studies that show the impacts time in nature can have on our stress management and sleep quality. So time in nature is showed to impact our overall health, our moods, and actually have a decrease in stress hormones, which I thought was really interesting, as we've just covered the impacts of the stress hormones and how severe they could be. So that's huge, that just going out in nature and spending time in the trees or in the desert, if that's where you are, can have that big of an impact on our overall well-being. And so why do I say rituals rather than just, going outside every day? And for me, it's because having some kind of ritual or some kind of ritual helps me ensure consistency. It makes sure that I'm doing it and showing up day after day. So I set parameters around that ritual. For example, my meditation needs to be before 8 a.m.
Let me stop sharing my camera. They'll be like, what are you doing?
So just Jessica, can you mute everybody? Cool. So we'll go backtrack a little bit to diet. So diet considerations. So we're still in the same slide for diet and exercise, Jess. So there's so much we could cover in terms of diet and exercise, but we're really just going to start simple and just cover it really briefly. So I'll just spend a few minutes here. So again, there's no black and white. You customize what works for you. On my journey, it was really important for me to take a step back from all the advice, especially in the spiritual community and the wellness community. There's lots of people with really pure intentions that want to offer lots of advice, and that's great, but we need to find what works for us. So for example, I still receive all sorts of guidance and advice on my digestion, yet people don't necessarily know the digestive conditions and limitations that I have. So I'm not able to necessarily follow the common diets, for example. So some things to consider with your diet. There's a few simple things I want to mention, and one of them is something that is kind of new to me, and that is that vitamin and mineral deficiencies are actually scientifically linked now to insomnia. So that's pretty huge. Nutrients are essentially the building blocks for the neurotransmitters that help our brain to calm down and rest, to slow down. So some examples, I won't get too much into it, but I want to share 3 examples so you kind of see the concreteness of it. The first one, which is one we talked about in our class last month, is vitamin D. Again, that's something we absorb from the sunlight through our skin. Having too much vitamin D or not enough vitamin D is associated with sleep issues. There's scientific research backing this. Vitamin B12 is another one. It may be linked. The reason that B12 may impact our sleep is because it's linked to depression, and a symptom of depression is often sleeplessness. And then the last one we'll cover really quick is magnesium. And this one's really interesting because it contributes to the regulation of our circadian rhythm. So our rhythms between our awake state and our sleep state. So the fluctuation between the two. Magnesium also helps produce melatonin, which signals our bodies that it's time to rest. So if we want to increase magnesium, for example, we can increase our leafy vegetables, eat more nuts and legumes. Another quick consideration when it comes to diet is not eating too close to bedtime, which I know is hard because a lot of us have busy schedules, but we want to make sure we're not eating at least 2 hours before bedtime, and then also taking that into consideration with alcohol, nicotine, and caffeine, especially caffeine. So alcohol is an interesting one because you think of it as a depressant. So you think of it as maybe helping you fall asleep. A lot of people use alcohol as a tool to fall asleep, but the consequence is that it's a depressant at the beginning, but once it's in your body, it actually acts as a stimulant, which can wake you up from your sleep. So better to avoid that altogether, or at least to limit before bedtime. And exercise. I won't say too much here on exercise, but it's important to note that exercise has a direct impact on our nervous system. So we can have a really strenuous exercise activity, or we can have a really calming activity. What we need to know is what is soothing for our individual nervous system. So it's important not to do strenuous exercise before bedtime if you kind of have an on mind. And it's also, just for me, it's helpful for me to remember the intentions. Why am I on the yoga mat? Why am I going for a run? Why am I doing this workout video today? And it's, keeping our pure intentions helps us to use it as a stress relief, which can support our, obviously, stress management and our sleep hygiene. So we'll go down to the next slide now, creating a calming sleeping environment. So there's, again, all sorts of things we can include here, but I will try to stay on track. So essentially, I like to highlight that our society is has essentially normalized not getting enough sleep, which means that we've kind of just accepted if we're not good sleepers. It's just part of life, rather than taking our wellness and our sleep hygiene into our own hands. So taking ownership of it is really important, and recognizing that there's tools that we can use to support our sleep and stress management. So the first one here we'll cover is softening the lights and sounds. So exposure to light suppresses the secretion of melatonin, a hormone that influences circadian, which again is the sleep and wake cycles. We're on the next slide here, Jess. and melatonin secretion, and that comes from the Harvard Medical School of Publishing. So that's pretty big. It means even the lamp on your nightstand can decrease your ability to fall asleep. So if you're someone who's maybe shares a bedroom with a friend or a partner and they have lights on, that can actually impact you being able to fall asleep. Or maybe you're someone who likes to have lights at night. Just consider how that might be impacting your sleep cycle. I'm not saying you need to shut off all lights. If that's your comfort, that's okay. Tools for me that I've used in my own journey, I've had huge success with eye masks. I sleep with it every single night. If I don't have it, I kind of go into panic because I know I won't be able to sleep through the full night. It's also helped me with nightmares, which I struggled with quite a bit on and off. Another one that makes a huge difference now that I have a home base is blackout curtains to keep out the light in the morning, because a lot of us with sleeping issues, it's not so much about falling asleep, but about staying asleep. So for me, my sleeping issues is more at like 4 or 5 in the morning than it is at bedtime. And another thing that can help, I don't have personal experience with, but a lot of people have success with a white noise machine. I'm very sensitive to noise, so if I'm in the city, that would be really useful. So another thing that kind of comes into light and dimming light and sound is screen time. So I'll pass it over to Jess, who will talk to us about the impacts our screen time can have on our bodies and our minds.
Sorry about like going back and forth in those slides. Apparently the click doesn't go both ways. You have to use the keyboard at that point. But okay, here we go. So I wanted to make sure we talk about screen time because it's something that I wanted to personally research for my own sake here, and thought that maybe if I learned a little bit about it, it would help me create a routine that made more sense with less of my phone. So the top 3 reasons that you should ditch your phone before bed. Blue light. Blue light is harmful to your eyes. The blue light emitted by your cell phone screen restrains the production of melatonin, the hormone that controls that circadian rhythm that Molly was talking about, which is that cycle. This makes it difficult to fall asleep when your circadian rhythm is already thrown off for the following day. But it also is especially sensitive to lights that have shorter wavelengths. So the blue light from your cell phone is like a short wavelength and really impacts that rhythm. So blue light is bad for the production of melatonin and has short wavelengths that impacts your rhythm. The next one here is alertness at night. So say you're reading through Facebook or wherever and you're like thinking about things and adding to your plate and all the lists and all the other things going on, you're getting yourself all worked up. And even if it's not upsetting content that you're looking through, you're tricking your brain into thinking like, oh, I'm laying in bed, and it's dark in here, but this light's on and I'm still awake and your brain is really active. I think of this also for those who have kids that, you are naturally wake up easier if you like hear the slightest noise of anything, and that's just that alertness being impacted. So similar to having kids around in the house and always having to be worried about them, your phone increases that alertness and impacts you being able to get to sleep faster. And then I think overall it just reduces the amount of REM sleep, not because of shorter sleep, but because when you're sleeping and your phone goes off and you get notifications, you might not fully wake up, but you might not be in that deep sleep anymore. So you're impacting the important things that happen in your body when you're in that deep sleep. So even though you're like, oh, I never wake up to my phone. Well, you might not all the way wake up, but you might not really get that deep sleep that you really need. So I just put here that the National Sleep Foundation recommends that you shouldn't use your phone or tablet or TV at least 30 minutes before bed. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks, Jess. So we're now going to move into informed self-care with essential oils and supplements with our essential oil expert, Betty. Before we begin real quick though, I see little Miss Kiana here. Kiana, do you want to share which essential oil helps you to fall asleep at night? You have to unmute yourself, Mom.
Okay. Which one helps you sleep at night?
Lavender.
What do you do with it?
I put it in my diffuser.
And
I rub it right here.
yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing, Kiana. Oh, so I'll pass it over to Betty, who will share about the impact aroma and essential oils can have on our sleep and stress.
Thanks, Molly. Kiana, thank you very much for starting us talking about the essential oils. My name's Betty Hubrick. Nice to have you with us, Kiana. And I'm a certified holistic health coach, but I've been using the doTERRA essential oils for many years, so almost 10 years now, and really have, they've changed us. My husband and I, they've really changed my life, actually, and I'm so grateful for them. And they have helped in so many ways, and I appreciate taking just a few minutes to talk about them. Some of the other things, when you were talking, Molly, I've had a lot of experience of having stress, and my stress, maybe someone else is like that, it comes in the morning, and I wake with this heavy chest, and I'm just so anxious that I can't, and I've had to deal with that. And something in talking about those rituals, I began maybe about a year and a half ago, waking and writing just 5 things that I'm grateful for. And I begin with this gratitude, and it has really made my morning so much better. So I would just suggest that as a ritual that might help others in starting with the gratitude idea. And it's been very powerful for me. The other one is on diet. And my husband and I are just participating now in a diet for 28 days. It's really clean eating. And it's interesting, last night as we were going to bed and we woke up earlier this morning, he said, I think I'm sleeping better, but I think I'm waking earlier than before because we've got this beautiful clean eating where we're just flooding the body with nutrition, and it's made such a difference. So I can testify to those. Okay, we're going to talk about Kiana's favorite oil. First is lavender. And lavender really has been an oil that has been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. People have used lavender oil for its calming influences. And so I think we're probably all comfortable with lavender. And Kiana described 2 ways that we use it. We put it in a diffuser, right? That's a great way to get it in the room, aromatically using it. Or she puts it on her wrist. On the pulse points is a very good place to put oils. Or on the bottom of your feet even. The bottom of your feet have the largest pores. It absorbs quickly into the body and can have great effect. So lavender is very good for calming and for sleep. Many people use it, put it in a little bit of a spray or a mist on their bed, maybe on a cotton ball under your pillow. Now, in my case, I'm really not a lover of the lavender fragrance. So that hasn't, I like doTERRA's better than anyone else's, and I've smelled a lot of them, and you can tell the different quality of oils by smelling them, but I'm not drawn to it. But then again, Serenity, which is the next oil we're going to talk about, I am drawn to. And Serenity has lavender at its base, but it also has several other oils combined with it. So it's a blend. And the other ones that are combined with it are, you may know some of these, ylang ylang, such a beautiful calming, marjoram, chamomile, vetiver, such an amazing oil to calm the body and the brain, and then Hawaiian sandalwood. So Serenity is one of those oils I love to use when I need to get a little restful and calming influence in my life. So lavender and Serenity, very helpful for sleep. Now let's go to the other 2 oils, Copaiba, or Copaiba, however you'd like to say it, and Adaptive. Copaiba is an oil that's found in Brazil, so it's from the Amazon. It's been around a long time, but I think people are just becoming more familiar with it. Copaiba is so amazing because it affects the cannabinoid system of the body. So we know that CBD oil affects the cannabinoid system, but also copaiba does and has some of the same effects on the body. So a lot of people use CBD for calming and anxiety issues, but the copaiba can be better in some situations because it doesn't have any of the ability to affect the brain's activities. So doTERRA uses the copaiba in the same situation that you might use a CBD oil. Very calming, very good for anxiety. And what's nice is if you're not drawn to the oil, they also produce a soft gel. So they have a soft gel that you can take internally that's safe. Not only does it have the copaiba oil in it, but it also has other botanicals in it. So all of these are totally natural, safe for the body, no side effects, and very, very helpful. So the copaiba soft gels have been used a lot for people to help with their anxiety and their stress levels. But let's go to adaptive. And that of all of these is my most favorite. And before we started tonight, where did my roller bottle? I get my roller bottle adaptive out and I roll it on just like Kiana does in those points. And then I inhale it and I love this. Copaiba was recently, adaptive was recently produced by doTERRA and released. And before they did it, they did a beautiful study on what are the effects of it. And a lot of people were involved in that. And the one main comment that came from everyone involved in that study was the calmness, that the adaptive is a very calming blend. And I think, Jessica, do you want to share your experience with that now with us? I think that's
Sure,
one of the first products you used.
yeah, that was definitely one of the first products that I used. We did like a 10-day challenge and didn't have any particular reason to take it, but missed like just doing it one morning, like on day 6 or something. And like halfway through the day was at work and like kind of just felt a little more irritable than I had been and realized it like hit me like, oh yeah, I didn't take that adaptive today. So I didn't even really feel like I had been irritable prior to that, but then after taking it, realized like, wow, this really does work.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Jessica. It really does work. And the adaptive has other things in it. It has the lavender. So it has the oils in the capsule, but it also has other botanicals. And I think we've all heard about GABA. GABA is such a calming neurotransmitter that's very effective for many people. And it also has something that's, I love this. It can make you an alert serenity. Now, isn't that what we all want? Our brain to be active and alert, but that calming influence. And that's what adaptive can do for us. So I love all of these oils. I use them often, every day. I use multiple oils every day, and I know they've made such a difference and effect on us. So we're going to be doing another study like the one Jessica just spoke about. Molly, is it okay if I bring that up now?
Yeah, real briefly.
We're just going to do a study on pain and that you might have or soreness. And we're going to offer capsules and oils for anyone who wants to try that for 10 days. So we'll be posting some information about that. So if you'd like to try some, the products that we're going to use are called Deep Blue, and Deep Blue capsules or polyphenols. Beautiful products, and we'll give you more information. There you go, Molly.
Thank you so much, Betty.
You-
I love hearing about your experiences and all the benefits the oils have brought for you. So definitely reach out to me, Jessica, or Betty if you'd like more information on the pain management study. So just real quickly before we move into the number 4, the yoga and meditation, I just want to touch base on supplementation really quickly. And I just want to follow up on that a little bit because I know I talked about dietary considerations, things like vitamin D, B12, magnesium, things like iron have an impact on our sleep hygiene. And so supplementation is another really important and useful tool we could use here. So taking supplements regularly can alter the biochemistry and actually set a stage for the healthy gut and brain health and connection, so the healthy brain and gut environment. So It's really ensuring that you're getting the vitamins and minerals you need for restful sleep. And many more of those than we mentioned today, of the vitamin D and whatnot. So a good way to start with this is the Lifelong Vitality kit. We don't have time to get into it today, but we do offer a really comprehensive vitamin and mineral supplement kit that contains all of these and many more to really help make sure you're getting the nutrients you need to have quality sleep, like Jessica mentioned, and restful sleep. So done with number 3. We'll go to number 4 now. Yoga, meditation, and breath is what I consider medicine for the soul. It's made such a massive difference in my life. When I went into my first yoga class and did the final relaxation, Shavasana, I realized that I never really knew what that sensation of being relaxed was, because I had always kind of been meditating. And so it really opened my eyes and my journey to a much more balanced and grounded both daytime and lifetime day and night, I should say. So why am I so passionate about yoga and meditation and breath work? Because it's accessible for everybody anywhere. So it's something I can do for 5 minutes in the car, on the airplane, waiting at the doctor's office, something I can do on the bus, and I don't need anything. So it's super accessible tool, unlike some of the Western, I guess, tools and support that's not accessible to all of us at all times. It's a major stress reduction. I can share from my personal experience that I experienced that quite significantly. Calms the mind, balances the nervous system, and while doing that, it's also increasing our mental clarity, which helps us to focus, helps us to be more self-aware, and it also increases our imagination and creativity. So there's a lot to say there. Basically, it can help wipe away the stress of the day and bring inner peace. So it's something you can incorporate in the morning or at night, kind of find what works for your lifestyle. Again, it can be practiced anywhere, and it's really so what is it? What is meditation? A lot of people think oh, I'm not a meditator. There's no such thing as a perfect meditation, so we can all meditate. It's essentially a spiritual practice that's used to draw the energy and the awareness inward. And it's traditionally it's been more of a spiritual practice. Now it's been being used as more of a mindfulness-based stress reduction practice. So again, tons of benefits. Before we go into an experiential practice, I just want to mention that you may have seen, Jessica and Betty and I are kickstarting a 10 for 10 challenge. And so what does that mean? It means for the next 10 days, so starting tomorrow morning, we're challenging you to spend 10 minutes of mindful activity in the morning. So ideally first thing when you wake up, but again, fine tune it and make it fit to your lifestyle. So that 10 minutes of mindfulness activity can be anything from meditation to journaling. It can be gratitude journal, like Betty mentioned. We'll have a lot of success with gratitude journals. It can be listening to a recording of a body relaxation. Again, it can be going for a walk, listening to music, anything that helps draw the energy inward and kind of helps to calm and soothe. And I promise you, if you do it for 10 days, you'll notice a difference in your life, like Betty mentioned. She's experienced recently with her meditations in the morning. So I can't recommend it enough. Join our page or like our page, follow us, and we'll be posting motivation every morning. So we'll share different little tidbits on mindfulness and the impact it can have on our life. I will commit now to going live at least one day to share a 10-minute mindfulness practice that we can do together in our group. So like that Holistic Living Collective Facebook page to follow along. Okay, so we have crammed you full with tons of information. I know we're almost at our time limit, but I want to take about 5 minutes to lead us through an experiential practice. So we can kind of see what that looks like. And in this, I'll be weaving in a really, really simple, probably the simplest breath technique I know. It's simple, yet one of the most quick, effective exercises I do. I do it every day. When I notice stress arising or my heartbeat increasing, I do a really simple, and we'll go through it. It's also something I utilize during the night or in the morning when, like Betty said, maybe that anxiety and that active mind starts first thing in the morning. It's a really great way to calm, ground, and just soothe the mind. So I'll invite you to come into a comfortable position. So finding whatever position you need to feel supported. So that might be staying where you're at in the chair, on the couch, laying down in bed, all good. Or it might be coming down onto the ground, laying on your back. It might be standing. So finding a position that helps you feel supported. Doing whatever you need to do to feel completely nurtured and present. So from here, we can close our eyes if we want, if not, keeping them softly open. And just beginning to ground here. So connecting with the points of your body that are making direct contact with the surface beneath you. Maybe that's your hips or the soles of your feet. Maybe it's your back resting on a pillow. So really tuning into those places of connection, rooting down, feeling the support of the earth, feeling the surface beneath you rising up to hold you. And just checking in with yourself here. Just noticing what's present. What did you show up with today? And we're just noticing, not judging, not shifting, just allowing. Allowing any sensations that arise. And from here, we'll move into the breath. So connecting with your breath in whatever way is supportive. And if you're laying down, bring your hands will come down to your sides. If you're on your tailbone, if you're seated, your hands can come on your palms can come on your knees. And as we inhale, the palms will face upward. We're inhale, filling the belly, feeling the energy rising. And when we're ready to exhale, we can flip the palm downward, feeling the energy grounding down, rooting, releasing the breath. When you're ready to softly inhale, flipping the palms up, feeling the energy rise, feeling the breath moving into the body. And flipping the palm down as we exhale, releasing the breath, grounding down, rooting into the earth. Palm up as we inhale, feeling the energy rise. Palm down as we exhale, feeling the energy ground. Continuing with 2 more breaths at your own rhythm. Feeling the inhale and grounding with the exhale. 1 more breath here, inhaling and exhaling. And now I'm just going to invite you to release the movement of the hands. So it comes into visualization, which is something that we may want to do during the night, for example. So just visualizing the energy rising as we inhale. And feeling the energy release and ground into the earth as we exhale. Again, energy rises with the inhalation and falls, grounds with the exhalation. And releasing this practice, knowing you can return to this breath at any time for as long as you like. Just coming to a natural breath, keeping your eyes softly closed if that's comfortable. And we're now going to come into a tense and release body scan. So again, releasing any extra effort here, any struggle, naturally breathing. And let's bring our awareness down into our toes, squeezing our toes, tensing the toes, the feet, squeezing here, and softening, releasing the feet. Moving the awareness up into the ankles, the low legs, the shins, the calves, up into the knees, the upper legs. Squeezing here, squeezing the glutes, the hips. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And release, softening, feeling the entire lower body melting into the earth. We can bring our awareness into our low back, squeezing the low back, the mid back, the upper back, squeezing the tummy, the chest. Squeeze, 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 and release, softening, letting go. Taking a full breath here, maybe noticing the belly rise as you inhale. Maybe noticing it fall back into your spine as you exhale. And on the next inhale, shrugging the shoulders up, squeezing the shoulders as tight as you can. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And exhale, softening the shoulders down away from the ears. Moving down into the upper arms, the lower arms, the wrists, the hands, the fingers, squeezing your arms. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And softening, releasing the fingers, the hands, and the arms. And we can bring our awareness into our face, squeezing our jaw, tensing our cheeks, our nose, our forehead, our ears, our scalp, squeezing the whole head. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And soften, letting go. And last time here, we're going to squeeze our full body, everything from the toes to the calves, to the hips, the glutes, the shoulders, the belly, the face. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And releasing. Feeling your whole body softening. Releasing any tension you might still be carrying in your body. Feeling your whole body heavy onto the surface beneath you. Grounded, supported, held. Staying connected with the breath. And whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes if they've been closed, maybe turning your head from side to side, orienting to the space you're in, coming back to the present moment, back to the body, back to the breath. Take one more full breath together, inhaling, belly rises, and exhaling to release. Okay, I know that was a little bit quicker than normal, but I wanted to be able to walk you through an experience that you could take away and even practice on your own. So it's almost 7 PT, 8 in Utah. So I want to close up soon, but I just want to, I know we've covered a ton of information tonight, so I just want to break it down and remind you to set achievable goals because small steps stick. So maybe even taking away one thing that you've learned tonight and implementing that in your life. So maybe it's that you commit to not using your phone for 30 minutes before bed. Maybe it's reducing your caffeine intake. Maybe it's ordering an essential oil or some kind of vitamin that will help promote that calming sleeping environment. So baby steps, and consider your lifestyle factors here. So diet, exercise, daily rituals, and time in nature. So Jessica and I and Betty wanted to do a little giveaway to incentivize you all and to reward you for really taking this time for yourself. So for those of you that are live, Jessica, are you ready for a little for the drawing? And Betty's holding up, she has a Serenity bar there and a couple oils which will help you to sleep better and relieve your stress. So Jessica, I hope you're ready. If not,
Yeah.
I can do the takeaways first, or the upcoming events first.
Oh, shoot. You want me to do that first? And I go back to the PowerPoint?
No, either way, if you're ready for the drawing, you can do it now.
I wrote everybody's name down. Put it in this thing real quick. Maybe really quick, let's just do so you guys, we can have it on the slide here.
Yeah, so so while Jessica's prepping for our exciting giveaway, I just want to share with you a couple upcoming events. I don't know if Jessica, you're sharing your screen. If not, it's okay. So coming up Monday night, we are having our next virtual Essential Oils Made Easy class at 7 o'clock Pacific time. So a little bit later to give people time to get home from work. And Betty, if you're you want to jump in with the offering for enrolling in that class
Yes,
tonight.
I would love to do that. What we would like to do is whenever I want to know what oil I should use, I go to a little booklet that I have. It's a Modern Essential book. It tells you all the things. So you go into it and you say, gee, I've got some arthritis. Which oils might be helpful for that? Or how about some appetite suppressant? Or I've got a cavity that's really painful. What can I use for that? So this little book is just a wonderful little, I don't know, Reader's Digest version of all the things that can help us with the oils. And we'd like to give this away with a sample of an oil that you would like. So if you want to join us on Monday night, we'll send you the little book and then a sample that you would like to us to send you. And we'd love to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Betty. So that's a really kind offering from Betty. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
So let me or Jessica or Betty know, let's say within 24 hours, if you'd like to enroll for the class on Monday, and we'll get you set up with the A to Z booklet and a sample of the oil you're most interested in. So a couple other things coming up, that we have a live talk on the morning of October 26th on menstrual cycle awareness. So follow our page. We'll be going live on there with one of my best friends, Una, who's an expert in that area. As Betty mentioned, we have a pain management study coming up in November. Lots of exciting stuff in November, huh? We also have our next holistic living class, which we do once a month, like tonight. And the topic is going to be really exciting. We're super excited. We just had a call on this. It's going to be a DIY holiday gift workshop. So details coming soon. It's going to be November 30th at 7 p.m. And it's an opportunity to make some of your own gifts for your friends and family for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holidays you celebrate with your family. So it's, making your own presents leaves less of an impact on the environment. It's creative and it's special when it comes from you. So we're excited to do some DIY. Probably we'll do some like a sugar scrub or a moisturizer. We'll stay tuned for details. We'll have that coming soon. And we have another interesting unique event coming up, Cooking with Essential Oils. That's on November 22nd with our team member, Crystal. We can get you more information on that. And then a big exciting program coming up for the beginning of the year. So we want to start 2021 fresh, letting go of all of this 2020 toxicity and starting the year with the Cleanse and Restore program. So there's different options and tiers available. And that would be a holistic approach to kind of just cleansing and starting fresh, everything from our body to our mind and mood. So that's lots of events. Jessica just messaged that she is going to draw. She's not quite ready, so she will draw and then let the winner know individually. So we will let the winner know within the next hour. So if you don't hear with us in the next hour, we're sorry. come on Monday and maybe we'll give away another prize. So you can stop sharing the screen, Jess, so we can see each other a little better. And before we close, does anybody have any questions or experiences or things they want to share from their own journey with sleep or anything? Feel free to unmute yourselves. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I'll share. You guys talked about meditation for a minute. Sorry, my name is Bria, by the way. I went to college with Jessica. It was in her wedding. We lived in Colorado together for years and years. And now we both live in California, just opposite ends. But you mentioned finding your own meditation. And I think for a long time, initially meditation was this like very quiet, specific. It had to be sitting on a mat, and that just never resonated with me. And I found a couple years ago while I was living in Denver, my meditation is walking my dogs. I do it pretty religiously every